call tonight's meeting to order. Roll call, please, Lisa.
Mrs. Blippa?
Here.
Mr. Nett?
Here.
Ms. Lynch? Mr. Merritt?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. Rose?
Here.
Mr. Schreck?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to make note of executive session, May 24th, 2021, for personnel and contract negotiations, and June 21st, 2021, personnel and contract negotiations. At this time, we'll take public comments regarding the agenda for tonight. Somebody would like to speak? Please state your name, where you're from.
Kathy Graham, and I'm from French Creek Township.
Okay.
I'd like to pass this one paper out so you can understand what I'm talking about. I made 9 for the board members. I think there was 9 on the board. It's about the millage. Okay. It was May 14th, 2019. You'll see where I have it highlighted. It said about the tax cut would make our millage in French Creek Township 90.06. It wasn't. It was 92.02. It never got cut. So then in 2021, it went to 93.16. Still 0.16. But with the tax increase that Yins are talking about, the 3.0, will make it 96. And I was just wondering why we never got that it stated here in May 19th for French Creek Township. It just kept going up and up.
Ma'am, it's not a back and forth. You're going to make your comments. The board is not obligated to answer you. So if you're going to make a comment, that'll be addressed at the end if there's any comments from the board or
All
superintendent.
right. I'll go on to the next one then. Can someone tell me when the merger was years ago between Crawford and Crawford, or down to Crawford Central? Everybody merged together? Because I understood that French Creek Township wasn't in it at that time. I was wondering when French Creek got involved with Crawford Central. Because I called and they said there's only 65 kids that come to Crawford Central. And last year, the ratio was 81 to 43. And I know some people said that's about the assessment. So I called, and our last assessment was a full assessment for Mercer County, was done back in 1971. So I think that needs to be reassessed for Mercer County. Also, I was wondering when Crawford Central was reassessed, if you knew what year that was for the taxes. Okay. Then I called and they said they do have an open enrollment in Cockerton. I wanted to make sure that was still available or is available. But I called the Cockerton school and they said it was, because so we'll see where that goes. I figured out with what we spent last year was $750,000 to Crawford Central from French Creek Township. And for 65 kids, that averages out to like $11,500 and some dollars. And as small as we are, we just can't keep taking the tax increases. So I was wondering if, that's why it was important to know whether French Creek was in that merge to begin with, or whether it was just kids that were in Crawford County. If the Mercer County kids, which are 65, if they could go to another school, our tax money could go to a different school. So that's on there. Oh, and then somebody told me that nobody from Mercer County could be on Crawford Central's school board. And I wanted to know if that was yes or no. Because, I mean, if we're paying $750,000 a year, somebody from French Creek Township should be able to be on the board, I would think. But that's why I wanted to know that. Okay, that's. I think that might be it. Oh, this was a question too. Your board, what's the highest tax raise that yins can pass yourselves? Does it ever have to be voted on? We were wanting to know that. For French Creek Township. I think that might be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak?
Yes.
Okay, please come forward and state your name.
My name is Sherry Simons. I'm from French Creek Township, Mercer County. I just have some questions that I'd like to have answered. One of them is, what is the cost to each taxpayer to educate one student for 1 year at the Cockerton school system? And is that price the same for the Meadville Central School System? And how much is the state funding contributes to that cost? The other question I have, I understand you received $12 million from the stimulus package, and how do you intend to spend that money? And if you're getting that kind of money, why would you have to raise the millage, 3 mills for French Creek Township, Mercer County? The other, I would like to request that you advertise when there's a budget or meetings in like the area shopper, because we don't get the Crawford paper down there, so we have no idea when any of the functions are taking place. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, then, thank you. Right, we will now move on to approval of minutes. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following minutes. The regular board meeting of May 24th, 2021, and committee of the whole meeting of June 21st, 2021, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to committee reports, curriculum. Melissa Burnett, please.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the second and final reading of Schedule J, textbook adoption, inspired biology, honors academic biology, Meadville area senior high and Cockerton junior senior high for those both schools. And I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Question or comments?
I have a question. If every student has technology in their hands anymore, are we buying books as well as online education? And if so, why? And how much cheaper would it be to just do one?
Right, so we'll be getting a 6-year online digital license for every student that is in those courses. And then we do purchase classroom sets that the teachers can have in their classrooms that we use for learning support classes, or sometimes some kids that have difficulty that need to sign them out during the day.
So we're buying very few books.
Paper books, not very many.
Okay.
Probably 60.
60 total?
Yeah, 60, 75, if you have both buildings.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on, resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the additional targeted support and improvement plans for Meadville Area Middle School and Meadville Area Senior High School, and the submission to the Pennsylvania Department of Education.
And I need a second.
Second.
Jeff? Questions or comments?
I'd like that explained for the public, please.
Do you want to explain that? I'll start, but you have a better grasp of that
Okay.
whole scenario. You want,
Go ahead and start if you want.
Well, basically, Frank, these scores go back to 2018, is when we were last, had data. Frank, what I think is important for the public to know is that every time we have a new change of president, they reauthorize the Elementary and Secondary Act, okay? And what that means is that they each put their own stamp on that legislation. That legislation then is put out through the states, and it talks about requirements. Those requirements can change, and that's what we were talking about last week when you said, Tom, I don't get an answer, they change. And those targets from one year to the next can change. In 2018, when we started this process, it was under one program. It wasn't very similar to the PSSA PASA scenario. And then we went into 2019 where we test, but then data didn't count because we were having they were switching over, and then we went into COVID. So I don't know if I explained that right, Jen, but that is, so the targeted says that looking at data, there are certain groups, they break it down to subgroups. The subgroups it could be African American, it could be economically disadvantaged, it could be various subgroups that they have. And they'll say, well, you know what, that subgroup isn't moving as much as we want them to move, or they could be behind. What's your plan to move that subgroup? And that's what we're doing here. We're writing a plan to say, this is what we're doing to move that subgroup. Unfortunately, last year with COVID, that shut down. So you didn't have an opportunity to get out of the plan because they shut down. So that's what that is about, Frank.
Well, I thought the public should know what we were.
Okay, I understood that, you understood, but I was just explaining that.
Do you have any other questions about
No,
that?
that's
But
fine.
yeah, they've extended it for a year, and we have to revise that plan every year in the comp plan portal and update what our goals are and so forth.
Thanks again, Jen.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to Building and Grounds. Frank Schreck, please.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the easement with Crawford Area Redevelopment Effort Incorporated for the Greenways Trail in Carpenton. And that's just a short length of walking trail from Sugar Creek over to the high school, basically. And I so move.
And I need a second, please. Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the license and maintenance agreement with Boynton Street Church of God Revive for Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial at the 2nd District Elementary School, and I so move, and that's a plaque along South Main Street there.
And I need a
And they
second.
will be taking care of it.
And I need a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves to proceed with the preparation of a lease agreement with Family and Community Christian Association for a pre-K counts classroom at Cochranton Elementary School. And I so move, and that should probably be explained as well.
Sure. That is, well, should we get a second first? That's right. We should get a second first.
Second. Jeff.
Jeff. Yes, so that is an annual, Dr. Noonan, you can jump in and help me. That is a program that is part of the pre-K counts. It is a program that is designed to help students get a head start. They have a number of classrooms throughout various counties and school districts. They have approached Cochranton Elementary School. There will be several, they will be able to have 12 students go there free of charge to get a head start. They will lease a space from us, but they will self-transport. They will eat in our cafeteria, but it is designed to give students the ages 3 and 4 who may not be exposed to education early on, the opportunity to be exposed. Dr. Noonan, did I hit that right? Because I know.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I will be abstaining.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. So motion carries 7 with one abstention.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves of the advertisement for bids regarding the improvements to the Instructional Support Center. And I so move.
In a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Questions or comments?
I would like to see this go out to bid again, because I think it's just flat out too expensive.
Well, it is going to go out to bid, so we got to bring it back numbers anyway, Frank.
In other words, we're only approving going out to bid.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to transportation. Delwood Smith, please.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves Schedule K, number 453 diesel fuel bids for the 2021-22 school year, and I so move.
And I need a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to finance. Jeff Rose, please.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following financial activities. The Treasurer's Report for May of '21, financial statements, the payment of bills, and I so move.
And then, Kevin, second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And separately from the payment of bills for Girardi LP, and I so move.
Second.
I'll be abstaining from this due to conflict of interest.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7 yeas and 1 abstention.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the adoption of the 2021-22 general fund budget in the amount of $70,926,805 as presented on PDE 2028. A copy of PD 2028 will be made part of the minutes, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes,
Okay. Go ahead, Frank.
I have several on this budget. Now, I was asked the other day to make sure I had references for everything I asked about. So if anybody reads the Tribune, they've had a flyer in there. And we're going with the assumption that people's taxes will go up, by my opinion, a sleight of hand. If your house is worth $29,000, it'll go up an average of $25 or, no, 50. Well, there was one house in that flyer that was approximately $60,000. The rest were double that, or close. and beyond. So to tell you if you have a $60,000, $120,000 house, what are you gonna get, $200 tax bill increase? And somebody's handing us $4.1 million a year for 3 years. They've also told me I'm a one-issue board member. Well, if anybody had listened or bothered to listen over the years, I have advocated a Crawford County school system where we eliminate a lot of overhead. Though I'm sure under the circumstances, we wouldn't be able to save a dime any more than people advocating a $25,000 or 25% reduction in tuition in our state colleges because people can't afford it anymore. So yes, I'll stand by everything I have said in the past. I don't see how we could, well, we don't have to look forward to see how you can vote yourself into poverty. We're not that far from an entity, excuse me, that has done that really well. So that's really all I have to say on that.
Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 7-1.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following real estate tax levies for fiscal year 2021-22. Crawford County at 54.47 mils and Mercer County at 96.11 mils, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
I think it would be appropriate if since there have been questions, and we apologize for the fact that when you do give comments, it's not a back and forth. And I don't think that means that we shouldn't give answers. And so I would ask that our solicitor kind of speak for a moment about how the difference between how the tax and the millage is handled between the different counties. It's very complicated, and I understand that there's always confusion, and I think it would be appropriate if we kind of addressed that topic.
Sure. So the millage, so when we raise taxes, there's an index that we can raise our taxes to as a school district. In order to go above the index, the question that you asked was, what's the rate of taxation that that's voted on by the public? If we want to go above the index, right, the taxation above the index has to be put to a vote by the counties that the tax index would affect. In this instance, we're not raising taxes above the index. There's a certain index that's set by the state. We're raising taxes, I believe, God could maybe speak further, to a point below that index, based on the millage placed in front of you. So millage is assessed differently from county to county. As you can see here, the millage for Mercer County is 96.11, Crawford 54.47. So the increase here is, it looks like it's more millage for Mercer County. That's really not how it's assessed. The millage is equal and spread between Crawford and Mercer, so that each individual property owner is assessed the same amount of tax increase based on the value of their house. So while it looks like Mercer County or French Creek Township is bearing a disproportionate burden here in terms of like the raw numbers that are presented in front of you, that's actually not the case. It's just that it's based on a mathematical formula that is assessed across both counties depending on the millage that you currently have and the values of homes in those counties. So while it looks like just that Mercer County is bearing a larger burden, in reality all the taxpayers are bearing the same burden depending on the value of your real property. So I think that addresses your points.
It does, thank you. There has been discussion also about the school district and I guess you would say the boundaries of the school district. Frank has in the past advocated for a Crawford County, or in other words, county-wide school district. We also had questions tonight about how did French Creek Township get kind of sucked into the Crawford County, Crawford Central School District. And now that is, and I want you to add or correct me if necessary, but Is that really something that is handled at a school board, school district level?
It is not. I mean, it's real, so the school districts were established way back when, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania was founded. And usually, there's been mergers in the past. Again, 1971 was the year I heard that French Creek was merged into Crawford Central, or 77?
I don't know, I've done some research.
Guy had mentioned
70s for sure.
The 70s, obviously predates my time, I can't speak to what occurred back in the 70s, but usually, when a merger between school districts is accomplished, it's either by the Pennsylvania Department of Education or some bureau within the Department of Education who feels that there's not enough students for the particular school district, or that it would be more convenient to administrate two school districts into one, to merge them into one. It is not a decision made at the local level. While the school board could technically petition the Pennsylvania Department of Education under the school code for merger or dissolution, it's ultimately the decision-making power lies with the Department of Education. So that's not something we can do here at the Crawford Central School Board, we really have no power to do that.
When I say that's really a state level decision, is that
That's
accurate. Okay.
Accurate.
Thank you.
One other real easy question to answer about representation on the school board.
Mm-hmm.
Would you address that?
Yeah, so you can run for the school board depending on your residency. In order to run for the school board, you have to be a resident of the school district. So the jurisdiction would be both Crawford and Mercer County, I believe. And then you have to be 18 years of age, and you have to have resided in the school district for at least a year prior to your election. So those are the qualifications. It's under, I believe, 322 of the school code, if you want to take a look.
I appreciate that.
Somebody could, from French Creek Township, be on the school board.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because we were told you couldn't be on.
Yeah, that's
No,
incorrect.
ma'am, the qualifications for anybody who lived in French Creek Township would be exactly the same for somebody who lives in Meadville or Cochranton.
Yes.
It's just residents in the district for a certain period of time.
Yeah, at least 1 year.
Well, if that lady chose to run for the school board, would she go to the Crawford County Courthouse or the Mercer County Courthouse to get her petition?
Crawford County, it's the seat. But if you live in Mercer County, you're still eligible. Okay?
Thank you.
No problem.
That's all I
Ross,
wanted
thanks
to-
for bringing this forward, and Jeff and Chris, thanks for addressing those issues. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the implementation of Act 1 Homestead and Farmstead exclusion for fiscal year 2021-22 in the amount of $1,453,136.06. Further resolved that the Crawford Central School District has calculated a homestead and farmstead exclusion for the purpose of reducing school district property taxes. Such exclusion to be $4,206 for Crawford County and $2,384 for Mercer County. Further resolved that the Crawford Central School District will reduce school district property taxes using the homestead and farmstead exclusion by $229.10 for Crawford County, $229.13 for Mercer County, and I so move.
And I need a second. Second. Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves for the business manager to make general fund budget transfers for the purpose of closing out various funds for the district for fiscal year 2020-21, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves to enact a 1% earned income tax and a 1% real estate transfer tax for the fiscal year 2021-22 in conformity with Act 511, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves to enact a $5 per capita tax for fiscal year 2021 and 22 in conformity with Section 679 of the Public School Code of 1949, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the district's insurance coverage for 2021-22 school year as quoted by First National Insurance, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves Schedule L General Fund Budget Transfers, and I so move.
And I need a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to personnel. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following stipends for the 2021-2022 school year. James Shryock, Student Information System Coordinator, Instructional Support Center at $7,000, and Douglas Skelly, Dean of Students, Meadville Area Senior High School at $8,500. And I need a motion.
So move.
And a second. Thank you, Kevin. Questions or comments?
I just have a couple comments. As you know, I represent Crawford Central on Career and Tech. And some of our neighboring school districts are using students' resources to the fullest in technology. And I think I recommended that here several years ago, and it fell on deaf ears. I believe we should, again, look at that. These students can be trusted and should be trusted. So that's all I have.
Frank, Jen just want to give a comment to that.
Yes, so we are moving forward with what we call the tech team at MASH and Cochranton, and we do have students doing that. Becky's also been working with them. She's not here to comment on getting them certified to do some fix-it.
Beautiful, you don't even have to go on, beautiful.
But I want to say, so Frank, we've been doing that for 2 years, though. Our kids have been they've been help desk kids for 2 years down in Cochranton and down in Meadville. In fact, we hired a Cochranton kid as soon as he graduated from high school. We hired him through Quest Tech. So I just want to let you know that's been happening for 2 years. What the next level is actually getting them certified, so that when they leave, it's a class. They literally are taking a class as an elective, and they'll get certified. So I just want you to understand that that's been going on. Okay.
Great,
Other questions or
absolutely great.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby reappoints Timothy M. Sennett and Christopher F. Sennett as solicitors for the 2021-2022 school year at the rate of $110 per hour, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Was that Ross?
Ross, yes.
Second.
Second, Kevin.
Questions or comments?
As I said last week, we value our relationship with the Crawford Central School District. We enjoy working with this board, and we really appreciate your consideration for reappointing us for next year. So thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping me out of jail.
Will do, Frank, always.
So far.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Acknowledgement that under the terms of Section 1108 of the School Code, the superintendent has notified the secretary of the board that Haley J. Franz, Matthew S. Jaros, and Alexis R. Kimmel have received satisfactory ratings for the sixth semester of employment and has thereby gained the status of a professional employee and will be tendered a professional employee contract beginning with the first semester of the 2021-2022 school year. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby appoints Paula Jo Lynch as the voting delegate for the PSBA Delegate Assembly meeting to be held on October 23rd, 2021, and I need a motion. Jeff, and second, Melissa? Any questions or comments?
I will clarify one of the comments I made the other night when I said I didn't care. When I say I don't care, it has to do with 3 organizations definitely. PSBA, the IU, and this. Just a total waste, well, the other is Pennsylvania Department of Education. To me, they are a total waste, which reminds me of a porcelain fixture in the bathroom with a swirling thing. All they do is gobble money. So that's where my I don't care remark came, and I will stand by that.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 7-1. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the transfer of Dr. Kurt R. Meter from the principal of 2nd District Elementary School to principal at West End Elementary School effective August 16th, 2021, and I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Melissa was first,
you're right.
and Kevin was second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves Kevin L. Harper as principal at 2nd District Elementary School with all benefits associated with the Act 93 agreement at Step 4 with a salary of $109,759 effective August 16th, 2021, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Melissa, and a second?
Second.
Brian, thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam President, I just want to say that Mr. Harper had scheduled a family vacation, and he was going to drive back, and I said to him, please don't ruin this, but he he is happy to be joining us here. He's a 15-year veteran, coming with a lot of experience. I think he's going to be a great addition to our administrative team.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Crawford Central School District hereby approves the following personnel schedules. Schedule A, B, C, D, E, H, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. Questions or comments?
Are we going back to all the field trips that are beneficial will take place?
Yeah, good.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. This time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Washington.
Thank you, Madam President, and I want to lead in with what Frank said. So as we spoke about in the committee meeting, for those that, I do have to write a health and safety plan, but it will be scaled down. Of course, it will involve if things or the virus picks up, it will have certain things in it. But we expect Frank to go back to normal as much as possible in the fall. So, but we do have to write a health and safety plan that we will have to submit, and I'll submit it at the end of July, and it has to be board approved by August. Okay. When I say scale down, the last one was 30-something pages. This will be maybe 4 or 5 pages, and that's how it's designed to be. I just want to also add, I know last week I read to you briefly some of the accomplishments of the class of 2021, which I was very proud of because they were the very first class who had to come to school during the pandemic. And I won't go over the list of colleges, but we know that 52% of the Meadville seniors and 34% of the Cockerton Junior Senior High School folks are going on to 2 and 4-year colleges. About 13% of the class from both high schools are going into the military. 34% will be going into the workforce. And they amassed about $4.7 million in scholarships and funding. The last thing that was added, I just found out over the weekend, Andrew Locke won the Nationals for the Skill USA competition. I don't know if you got that email from our career tech, which is really neat. He's national. Now he goes on to compete for world. So that's, again, another outstanding senior that has done a wonderful job. As we come to a close of this year, I also want you to know that we did recognize all the retirees. We normally have them here for punch and cake, but it's usually late in the month, and they are pretty much, they're retired and they're gone and trying to get them back. So this year what we did was we actually went door to door, and we shook everyone's hand. We had the class stand up and clap for them when we gave them a gift. So I just don't want you to think that I didn't do anything for the retirees, because we normally do something at this this juncture. And they were very glad to with that. And I just want to say that this has been a very tough and unusual year, and I want to just say, starting with the board, I appreciate everything you guys have done this year. You were very flexible, you were listening. There were times I just called you at a moment's notice and said, we have to have a Zoom meeting, and you were there. And I appreciate everything you guys have done this year, along with my team. Everything, the flexibility. Chris, I probably wore him out this year with questions saying, hey, Chris, the state is saying this and the CDC is saying that. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to do that. And then he would say to me, Tom, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I would say, well, what happens if I don't? And he said, well, just do it. So there were a lot of times that I wore Chris out. But it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year. But I want to just say this. To our community out there, to the parents, to the students, to everyone, to the board, to our administration, to our teachers, to our support staff, our bus drivers, everybody in our kitchen that jumped up and made lunches when we were closed. Building and grounds, we at moment's notice, we called people and said, this building has to be cleaned. And they did, and no one complained. And so I thank you all. I thank you all for what you've done. I thank the community. It's been tough, and I am just praying that we are going to go back to normal and we'll be able to start the school year just as normal. Okay. So, Madam President, that's all I have to say. I think, given the pressure that we were under, I think we did it. I think we're Crawford Central proud.
Any other public comment? Any other board comment?
I would just like to say one thing to the group here tonight. Maybe approach Michelle Brooks, Park Wentley, because I think the problem with the way the tax is devised is with the State Tax Equalization Board called STEB. It's been around for a long time. I remember when I was on a different board and we had Plum Township, was our township, which is in the same boat you guys are in, sitting across county lines. The millage rates are different. Crawford County has reevaluated their millage. Mercer County has not. And with that tax equalization board gets that formula, they advise us here as to what we have to do and what the rates are going to be. We don't set those. That all comes from the state. So I think you can get Park or Michelle and sit down and grieve your differences with her as to what's going on. She might have some pull with that state tax equalization board that maybe they need to look at the formulas and how they do it. I know when Plum Township was upset, and I'm going back into the early 90s, is when that was happening, they had a meeting with the state somehow, and it kind of worked for them. At least they got to understand how that all came about. And I think it might be beneficial for you to maybe pursue that avenue and see if you can get some direction there and some guidance as to what can be done.
Madam President, I forgot one thing. I want to just remind the board that we don't meet in July, so there are some times that we have to have people that we have to have ready to have school, and we usually retroactively approve those. One scenario I can tell that's happening, so I can just warn you now. Our kindergarten numbers are much higher at this point in time than they normally are. So I can see the idea that we might have to look at a kindergarten classroom. Okay, so I just want to, we usually put that on, and then we board approve it in August. I just wanted to remind everyone.
All right. Being resolved that there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 6.
Oh, I had something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frank. I had left it open and you never opened your mouth. So I thought, oh, geez, darn it all.
Well, I promised somebody before the meeting that I would make a couple comments, Mr. Crowley. I read the paper after last month's meeting, and you said I got taken to the principal's office. Many times when I was in high school, and I even got a whack across the backside several times. However, when I ran for this board, I was elected by the people, not by anybody else. I represent the people, not anybody else. And my only concern is the students. And my votes and my comments, I think, reflect that. So I don't need a retraction. However, you may need a civics class, and I thank you, though, for all the years. That's all.
Okay, any other comments? Then, we, being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 6:15, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Melissa.
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Board, I do need a short executive session. If you want to, we can stay here.